Okay, so first thing here is the return chaser. Now, this is one of the most basic human investment instincts is to be knowledgeable on the latest investment trend. Some person epitomizes this type of investor or maybe our behaviors. These individuals follow the newest pattern but haven't paid much attention to valuation. In other words, the return chaser only seeks for the return, only seeks for the return, and he or she doesn't ask for the term of the investment. Like say for example, he doesn't ask for the risk that involves in that particular na investment. So we tend to become a return chaser most of the time because just this, for example, when we have this investment trends, what we usually ask in the very beginning is the return. Okay, like say, pila man ang kuan ana, pila man ang balik ana. Mo dayon na usually ang ato ang ginapangutana. 'Di ba? So like for example, if one of your friend offered you for this or tell you of this particular investment, tapos ang ingon dayon nimo nga pila may balik ana ba, 'di ba? Usually ingana ato ang ask dayon sa iyaha. We never ask like say for example, kinsa may tag-iya ana, no? Asa man na dapita, kanus man na bay, kamurag karon lang ko kadungog ana. And most of the time, we do not seek information about the investments. All we ask is the return. Okay, because we do are sometimes return or considered as a return chaser. Okay, and this is actually considered as a self-defeating behavior because we neglect to get the information of the investment, to investigate the reliability of that particular investment. And to the matter of fact, no, we become irrational decision makers. Irrational, which means to say that we just make decisions out of our thinking to get the return and not with prior knowledge about it. And there has no rational basis for investing and jumps in without an exit strategy. So all we plan, like for example, if we are a return chaser, all we plan is just to get the return, and after we get the return or have the return or the profits of the investment, we just exit directly or immediately. No, so murag ato lang kung makabawi na ta na muhawa dayon ta. So it's like some way around when you are or you may try to go in a peryahan, no, na we tried to attempt to play some of the games sa peryahan, and then we have in this instinct in our mind that probably kung makakuha ta or makabawi ta, muhawa na din ta. But it somehow it will leads us na kapag nakadaog kag kaisa, you would prefer nga mo try again, no, kay murag taas mo instinct ba na makadaog ka. And in some other way is that unfortunately pala, it will lead us na mahurot ang ato ang kwarta agidala. Di mo na moingon sila ang uban sa ato ang or ato ang mga colleagues, no, na pag makadaog lagi ka ba ay nagbalik. No, mana din pag nakadaog na gani ka ayo nagbalik kay. There is this thing in peryahan because you know that the peryahan is still a business. No? It's a private business that they also want to have profit. Dahil mga things like na yung mga strategies pala rather ang peryahan na padaogon na kakaisa and the rest of it pildi na ka. Because there is this behavior of an individual na pag makadaog og kaisa, mas mo ganahan na mo sugal pa og isa or another times na pod. Okay, or if mapildi, murag ma-trigger siya nga mo patad na pod. O, nakikingana bitaw. Or even in lotos, no? Mga 3 digits sa mga games, no? Pag ato din gina-consider nga, it's a chance na nakadaog ta. And then another na pod, swertihon. Mo na ginaingon na to nga, swerte-swerte. Swertihon lagi ko ron. Sige, matry na po ko. And that's actually considered a self-defeating behavior because again, our plans are or our decisions are not made from a rational thinking. It's done without prior knowledge of the investments. It's done because of just an immediate decision, and we do not plan for a long-term benefits on it or a long-term strategies. Okay, so as investors, we must resist the urge to participate in such scams and steer clear of these losing opportunities. Our behavior is often the culprit. We need to overcome our instinct to participate in less than rational investment schemes, or at least we should have an exit strategy if the decision is made to participate. So if you had that kind of decision to invest in that schemes, of course, you must have also the decision on how you are going to exit. Dili kay moabot sa point na magpa-blatter na lang ka and then you will consider it as estafa. No, estafa kay wa ka gibayaran, i-consider nimo siya ang utang. But you know, you invest like for example, let's cite some of the experiences that we have prior to COVID pandemic. No, we experienced also abundance of money because of that investment scam. So we just jump into that particular investment without thinking, or prior knowledge was not actually been applied. Even if you are a financial experts, no, you have been into discussing with the risk, no, but you are not also knowledgeable na it will also have the risk na dili na to na siya makuha og balik. No, and in fact, it's the reality, wala gid ako og balik. So what we have, people are actually pursuing na makuha og balik pero wala gyud. So di pa blatter ang nagkuha sa imong kwarta, but there was no document at all. It can be considered as estafa. And so the point is, after how many years until now, we didn't even realize na wala lagi din nato siya nakuha. Murag consider na lang nato siya nga donation na lang. And in fact, no, the other way around, way back then, is that when you invest in one particular investment scheme, you will have to sign up a form that will put there na donation to siya ang imuhang kwarta. Okay? So there was no exit strategy at all. And the decision to participate in that, no, was made by our own, and maybe we're influenced kasi sa inyo, you're just students. No, if there will be chance na may kwarta ato, of course, the tendency would be na mo invest mo because you can see others, or you can see your parents are also having a return on it. No immediate na return, but also not for a long-term return gid siya. Okay, then the second one is the overconfident gambler. No, the overconfident is somewhat an opposite and is separate or different from the return chaser. Kani siya, it's in a simple term, hambugiro nga sugarol. No, once na matrigger ang iyahang behavior sa pagasugarol, mas the more siya na mo taya. No, mas the more siya ma-engage in a risk trading. Like for example, I've mentioned a while ago that inapiryahan, once na makasugal ka, tapos makadaog ka, marag mas maganado ka. But there's also an opposite side. Once mapildi ka, mas ganahan ka mo patad because you will put it in your mind na sa sunod na chance, ikaw na po na makadaog. Marag mo bantay lang ka sa sunod. Mana din ka pang pagana man nagipadaog sa tika. Or like say for example, na may sugal ka mong duha. Imo din ginaingon sa imong ka-pair nga, sige lang, gitagal naman tikag chance. Yan na ba? We will not accept it na na-lose ta. But in reality, that's somehow our attitude, no? An overconfident gambler, because we cannot accept that we lose. So we want to get it back. But until such time that even if how much or how many times we try to attempt to get it back, wala na chance. No? Wala na ginato siya na kuha ang ato ang gisugal. So at the end of the day, we just realize nga wala dito kwarta sa toong pitaka. So yung anak kasagaran ng mga sugarol, kaya bitang mga sabungero, no? Mga bintahan na lang kung sabungero ka, kaya napay madala nga paa sa manok. Pag uli, di ba? Kasi gitawag ana murag bihag sa kuan pa. Sa Bisaya pa mga bihag na kay madala. But in reality, no, like for example, when you are in a stock market, you try to invest in stock markets. We know the fact that the stocks depends on the prices. No, every now and then, every seconds or every minute, naga-change ang prices of stocks. But when we see it that the money that we have there in the investment kinawala na siya because of the decline of the prices of the stocks, we tend to invest more. No, so instead of 10,000, ato na pong ipunan until the time that our money are lost. Nawala na gid siya. Maybe because the factor is our behavior is just triggered to invest more. We did not strategize to invest into other investments. Like for example, we just focus into one investment category and we did not try to explore in the other investment. Those that are, example, part of the blue chips na companies, no? we just try to focus on one company that is actually trying to increase its prices as fast as it can, but also declines prices as fast as it can. So murag na ano lang taba na trigger lang atong behavior, which is not also good. It is considered as self-defeating because it's not a good habit if you've been investing into a larger investments. Okay? So okay lang, makonsider na to siya for small investments. Na magduwa-duwa lang, but if it will includes a large money or a huge money, it will not be good anymore. Malose ta. Okay, so this situation here is an opposite to the person who avoids investments or afraid of to save and invests over long periods compared to an overconfident trader or gambler. So here, the trend, no? So mag-increase, magtaas na pod ang wealth niya, ang level sa iyang wealth. While when we compare it to the saver investor, the wealth is increasing consistently or persistently, while the overconfident gambler at the age of 50, so ingani lang gihapon ang level sa iyahang wealth o sa iyahang savings. This also happens to us, no? In reality, like for example, when you are working, or might be one of you here are working students actually, you will just realize someday, if you're not fond of savings or if you are not fond of investments, you will just realize na, oh, 10 years ako gatrabaho, wala pa ko'y tigom. No? 5 years na ako nagtrabaho pero wala pa di ko'y natigom. Wala ko'y nakita sa akong trabaho. Nakita nimo siya pero sa imuhang lawas, kinanambok ka to sige kaon. Ang imuhang investment na sa pagkaon, mo na ni tambok ka, but you can see it in your body. This is what Shinkitan have mentioned, no, na the teenagers or we as individuals right now have two options, whether we will enjoy now or suffer later, or suffer now and enjoy later. So what's that phrase means? It means, like, for example, when you are a working student right now, or when you are a purely working, let's say, nagtrabaho ka, and then ang imong ginabuhat is nag-save ka, nagakuha kag insurance, no? A part of your risk management and financial goals, nag-save ka, and then pagabot sa panahon, if there would be emergencies, you will not be dili kay ka maproblema. No, dili kayo ka mabala ka because you have a lot of insurances. In case of accidents, you have insurance. And then, like, say for example, you enrolled yourself in a MetroSec na nag-enroll ka og 20-year contract for savings. So after 20 years, you can immediately resign because you can receive the equivalent amount of that 25 years na saving. You can capitalize for your own business. But if you're the kind of this individual who is enjoying now and suffer later, for how many times and how many years of working, wala kay savings, pag-abot sa panahon, wala kay kwarta. Like for example, accident kayo, you cannot work anymore. So wala kay kwarta, wala kay insurance. Ikaw ginang mag-suffer, no? So imong mga friends ay gipang libre nimo along the way that you're working, they're all lost kay wala kay kwarta. 'Di ba? So that's how we should decide, no? It's not a problem that you will have also this YOLO, na you only live once, but it's also a good way around to think of your financial plans, your future. And so how will you plan your future? Would you like to invest in an investments that will provide you a better return someday? Or you just like to invest on travels, not travels that will just give you a memory. And after all, na yung worst pagkayo nga na yung mga workers or mga individuals that would really try to have loans for their travel goals. So after all, when you have all your savings, when you have your business someday, no, I believe na all of us would really love to have our own business. We are just not working so hard for our study, and after all, we'll just be a slave or a worker for the rest of our life. Okay? And it should be part as well of our plans for an early retirement. No, agree ba? Nabi nagaplan sa inyo for early retirement? Ato lang nasa tong mind karon, we will just be study very hard, tapos after we will be working on a different establishments. But of course, you have also to plan for your early retirement para mag-ano na pug ka, nakay business imuha, and then pag nakay business imuha, so you can travel around, no? And then you have your different sources of income. Like for example, ikaw si ang babae is nag-work sa bank, tapos ang lalaki is businessman. It's a good thing. It's not really na kung gusto jud nimo magtrabaho, imo na lang gid siyang biyaan kay para lang gid sa negosyo. Pero love nimo yung work, 'di ba? We've mentioned also in the very beginning what you want. No, what you want. So what if ay mo jung gusto is mag-work and then at the same time you have also your business. So you will get your managers, no, and you will assign. So pero in reality, may importante gyud nga naa gyud kay masaligan na tinuod kay kung kwarta ang hisgutan wala kay masaligan ana gyud na except for your example your husband or your spouse, your mother, no? Because even your closest friends, your sisters or brothers, if in case of kwarta-kwarta, bigyan na malikayan na nadyo mga anomalya. Okay? So, another we are like, for example, policeman, ang imong husband, ikaw ang nag-handle sa iyong business. So, it's a good plan. No? Kaya karon pala, pangita na mo og mga policemen. Bitaw. So, murag karon na may mga reserba daan. Wa pa ni graduate pero naka-reserve na daan ang future husband. Masaw na lang, limited na lang biya ang mga guys karon. Mas dako na biya ang population sa girls. Napunan pa jud og mga gays. Di ba? Muna siya ginawa na 4:1. 4 girls plus gays, no? Versus 1 guy. Reality. That's actually correct. No? And that's actually true in our situation right now. But let's go back in terms of investments and plannings. At what particular age ba na you'd want to retire? Say for example, graduate na mo, nagtrabaho na mo. At what particular age you'd plan to retire? Okay, like say for example, age 40 to 45. Ako, I'd prefer at the age of 40, no? Same kay Atsak ko. So, na I'd want to retire as early as that age, 40 to 45. So, I've been working since at the age of 21. I'm 28 right now. 8 years ako nag-work. 4 years in the previous employer, and then 4 years right now in UM. So, after these years, no, after 40 years old, I'm 28 right now, and pila na lang ka years, 22 years siguro, no, before I got 40, and I should have my own established business. So that I will resign, or maybe my husband will resign, kasi love ko talaga ang teaching, so it's not yet in my mind to leave teaching, so maybe my husband would have to be focusing in our business. So, ano siya, it's sometimes a partnership, no? And you can also do it on yourself kung gusto mo talaga. But of course, you'd be part that on your plans. I-appeal mo siya sa mga plans. Kung si Atsak, gusto lang ako estudyante diri ay, siya rin ang ni-response. Ang uban wala pa ka-decide or wala pa dyan naguna-una for retirement. Mamo, pag may ka-graduate, amo problema dyan ka ma'am thesis pag yun ma'am. Problema pa dyan misang thesis. I believe naman that you can all pass through on that stage. Kami gani, we're lucky then that accounting students are only tasked to finish up to chapter 2 sa thesis. The rest of it will not be continued. Ako, I'd really love na as much as possible, we will finish the chapter 4 na maka-hardbound jud. Diba? Maka-proud kayo na i-graduate ka, nakalibro na himo, no? It will be considered as a book, a thesis. Pwede nimo ma-publish, gibutang nimo sa imong aparador, no? Remembrance, na dito naka-hardbound. But we, the accounting students, wala gid mi ana. We are unfortunate. At the same way around, fortunate din kay wa kay minahago, pero ako gusto siya gay na ako ba way back then na i-finish siya. Kaya lang, accounting students, wala man gitas. Okay, so you just have to enjoy the way around that you are working your thesis. After all, you'd be proud of yourself. Napay uban na very proud kay silang self. I've seen some posts of my students na i-post po na to, i-brag po na to itong self nga naka-finish ta sa thesis na wag tayo na contribute. Diba? Na-contribute niya money lang. Okay, so it's up to you, no, kung inyuhan na nga kagrupo. Okay, so next will be the second to the last one is the too conservative investor type. This is totally an opposite to the overconfident gambler. Si overconfident gambler, hambugiro nga sugarol, kani siya, di mo siya gusto na mo take risk. no? Di siya gusto na mo invest kay basi mawala ang kwarta. This so commonly happens to, like for example, if you are working already, you would have a definite change of your thinking in terms of money or spending money, because it could be hard for you to spend your hard-earned money kesa doon sa money na binigay lang sa'yo ng parents mo. Masakit siya gason ang kwarta nga imong gipaghaguan kaysa kwarta nga imuha lang nga dawat nga gihatag sa lain na tao. You would think of that the mornings, the heavy mornings that you have to wake up because you have to go to work early in the morning at 6 o'clock dapat mata na ka para maligo ka, mas nagkurkurog ka, maligo ka sa'yo para maka-duty ka sa mo work, tapos mo travel pa ka along the way, ma-realize mo nga katulgon pa kay ka. And then every payday is really, ano sa imo nga, is really, kana, ang tawag aning, holy, no? Holy siya in the sense that you have to get your salary, no? And if you're really that worker nga someday ha ma-realize niyo nga holistic gani kay nga pagka-worker or religious worker nga, whatever the policies you really follow in terms of work talaga. Kasi na may mga employee nga trabaho-trabaho lang, pag wala ang amo di pud mo trabaho og tarong, di ba, may ano, you would really feel that your salary is very valuable for you. Kaya as soon as the time that you get your first ever salary, unsa kaya imong buhaton? Sa mga ano, students na purely students right now who are not yet working, imagine yourself that you have your first payday. You have to get your first salary, and then you go to the bank, tapos nag-register pa pala, no, sa ATM. I remember one of my colleague before, na first time niya, happy kayo siya, nabauban siya sa mga, di pa siya kabalo sa kung pag-activate sa iyang ATM card, ipadala sa payroll. Tapos mo to, pag-abot na dito, then gi-ask din mo siya, unsa imong buhaton sa imong first na sweldo? No, sa inyo ha guys, unsa inyong buhaton kaya? Una na may first na sweldo. Magpalit og cellphone, mo ginang pinaka first goal siguro. Magpalit og bag-ong motor, o magpalit og eat my favorite food, hang out, o di ba? Savings, char ha, hanalin, bantay bitaw. Hatag sa mama, ma'am. Oh, really? Natabyo, bantay bitaw og wala ihatag sa mama, mama. Proud mo mama ko, naminaw imong mama karon. So sa ato mga parents na nagapaminaw habang nagadiscuss sa maayong pagtimbaya, kasi may parents na nagapaminaw pag karon. Nay uban na parents ba? Pero sa akong mama, since ako mama no kay dili gid siya college graduate, gusto siya maskwela karon ay kay online. No, kung pag sure maoy, pag-focus na lang din ha sa atong mga kuan. Oh, ana siya. Bahin ma'am para sa sarili and family. So I can remember the first salary that you have. Syempre, kung fresh graduate kayo, pag-expect nga dako din kag sweldo, no. Moagi jud ta sa pinaka rank and file, sa lowest position. So gamay patag sweldo, pero feeling nato dako na gid na. Kay syempre, first sweldo gud nato ato ang gipaghaguan. I remember that the time that I have my first payment, first salary, I so kay to kung gibotan eh. Murag I treat my family. I treat my family. Kaon mi sigawas, no, kana mga simple ano lang good, common fast food. Kaya syempre sa Digos wala man kayo yung mga ano dito ka ng restaurant like here sa Tagum, daghang kig mga resto nga social dito gamay lang gid mga fast food, pero they're very happy na imo sa lang gitreat nga na after how many years, after 4 years nagigastuan kanila pag-eskwela, nakabawi na gid sila. It's and in they're not thinking of na nakabawi na sila sa imuha. They are thinking na kuan kanang gi-value pud nila imuhang ang ilahang help sa imo, ilahang effort. By the time gani nga ni graduate ka, dako na kay nang punto sa ilaha. Nga after all na jud sila graduate nga ana. O bahalag pag-abot sa panahon nga naka-graduate ka na, nagka-family dayon. Pero ang importante ana naka-graduate ka. Kaya same here, ma'am, bahinon ma'am sa self and family. Subak ang uyab. Charot. Lahi ra gyud. Kung pwede, imuhang uyab po nag-work, sabay mo po nag-work. No, so, you can. Inyuha man na nga kuan, inyuha man na kagustuhan. And from Marisa, kay even imong family ma'am, malipay dyan makadungog na sweldo na nimo. Charmer ni. Pero bitaw, it's reality kung ako ang mga relatives sa una, tuyo kayo, hinumduman ang pizza sa tinsweldo kay mulaag dito sa among office. O mo visit na it's a different feeling di ay nga habang nagtrabaho ka i-visit ka. Muna mapugos jud kag libre. Librehon na nimo sila na. Ibayad sa utang, ma'am. Di sa ibayad sa utang, ma'am, kay malihian daw. O probably no. Magsige kuan, magsige na jud kag bayad og utang. And then savings and tithes. Wow, okay, very good. So if you have your churches na, like for example, na ano og tithes ginaga-required, so better as well. And then ako adjong mama kay very religious family man me. Ako mama mi nga din na siya nga kuan i-donate sa church nga nila nga amount ano, donation. I forget the tithes that we have kasi akong parents na nagabayad before. So may balaan na nimo pag magpakasal mo, singlon mo og dako kay wala mo naga-tithes sa Catholic na church. Nga na, promise. Ako bitaw gastoy kung magpakasal. Mapag ano na lang. Akong parents kasi, akong idea lang is mag-west lang, no? Civil wedding that we have. O pina-angel luksin, ang dato ba? Simple lang niya. Akong parents, mag-udi, jud gusto na, nga na, no, atong parents, gusto jud may experience, magpasok po na sila. So make your parents proud and make your parents happy. Kay, ngayon pa or it's written in the Bible that the more times that you make your family or your parents happy, mas taas daw ato ang kinabuhi. Matest na to na din hiya kay isa jud ko ana sa very supportive for family and for the happiness of my parents gyud. Grabe. And I don't know lang if pero siguro naman they've been happy. Dili lang kayo gyud vocal ang among family. Di kay mi nga nga family siguro sa inyo same nga mag I love you gyud, no? Basta mingon basta mo amin na ano, mga dyan na amo amin lang gyud among nasanayan. We are not like into hugging ana gani. Magkadal-kadal, dili jud kayo sa uyab lang magkadal-kadal. Pero sa parents dili syempre murag ano no awkward man. Awkward kayo siya. Para sa ako murag di wa kay mi na ni grow nga very sweet to the family nga. I love you ma ana sa birthday lang. Sa birthday, pag important Mother's Day, usually basta inyo nga sa Facebook lang mag-greet sa personal po daw i-greet po ninyo yung parents sa kuan or i-ano po ninyo i-reality po ninyo ang pag approach sa ilaha. Okay, but actions speaks louder than words, no? Even if we will not be vocally speaking with them like that, so sweetly and dearly, but all of the things, no, proudly naman na whatever our parents desires, we really accomplish it. So gusto lang gid nila na makahuman mig eskwela. Nya unya na daw may maguyab-uyab pag human og eskwela. So karon bitaw kay nakahuman lang jud may eskwela, wa jud nang uyab sa mua. Gini na mo ang parents ma. Unsa ko naman tani ma after 2 years, so graduate na after 2 years. Ang mga silingan duwa na didto na pila na kabuk apo nya. Nabihay na ang ako mother ba until now aga pa apo si mama. Mana din niya o karon mawon sana man iwan mo jud kay apo. O na mo siya. Pero we're all happy din naman, no? Even if wala pa sa point ngayon, ana. Okay, and the family bonding until now, nga na gahapon. Okay, balik ka diri sa two conservative investor kasi we are far with that now. The two conservative investors tends to be afraid of losing. So that's why we are talking a while ago with the salary, the hard-earned money that we have, that we will really be afraid to invest it if that's coming from our hard-earned money. No? Kasi at your level as a student, murag importante kayo na siya karon for your tuition payments. And sa mga young workers naman, very important ang money for them kasi gihaguan siya nila ang money. Or some of the kani mga dato-dato na di gid mahadlok mo buhi og kwarta kay they're abundantly wealthy. Wala na sila daghang kwarta. So ang like for example ang 10,000 sa ilaha gamay ra kay na para sa ilaha. Mana sa murag coins lang sa ilaha. Sa tuwa ang 10,000 dako na gina siya. Kay mabayad mo. But commonly, no, it's in reality as well that the two conservative investors would really seek to invest those investments that they are certainly sure of to have a result or to have a profit. Kasagaran kani mga young adults mas prefer na mo invest o ganing mga livestock compared to compared to stock market, no? Kasi mga example, mag-purchase ka og nakay 500 yatag sa imong lola gipalit mo og kanding, di ra mi balaan. Ni dako lang ang kanding, nabaligya nimo siya, mahal ra ba ang kanding pag baligya di ay? Or mga baka, na ana siya. That's a good thing para sa inyo ha, that the thing that I could advise for you as a student right now. Kasi usually atong ginabutang sa tong mind na wala pa man may kwarta ma'am oy. But there would be chances that somebody of your family or relatives would give you that kind or that small amount. No? But that if you're really strategizing, you can start up your own. No? Pwede ka mag-invest in ano good investments na kung naman ka sa rural areas or sa bukid-bukid, pwede ka mag-invest mga livestock. Okay? So, for those students naman who are in the city, kasagaran is nag-engage into online selling, no? Sa 500 mo, maka-start na ka. Pero of course, you have a lot of competitors as well. Kasi mostly right now are into online selling. No? So, medyo difficult to swim in the market na daghan na og mga swimmers. So, kailangan mo makipagsiksikan. So, choose wisely lang. And try to engage in investments that could really give you assurance to invest. But no, always remember that when you invest, there is really risk associated on that. No? Ayaw pag-invest kung wala, or ayaw pag have your own business kung ang imo lang ginahuna-una is always a return. I-appeal gid mo sa iyong plan. Ako, to be honest, no, one of my lapses siguro when I started my own business is that I wasn't really wala jud ako na-include sa akong plans or sa akong analysis na there could be a possibility na magtapal, no? Magtapal ka kay wala na bawi karon for the rent, no? The rent expenses for the salaries imong mga tao. Kailangan siya na imong bayaran imong tao regardless kung nakaginansya ka or wala. Nga na siya. And maybe that could be a learning for you someday kapag mag-business mo inyo ha. I-appeal yun sa inyong plano na what if na kay mga chances na magtapal ka, so na ba kay pang tapal? Na yung mga chances na maka-incurred ka ani ana, so na ba kay ika fully or ika purchase ni ana bitaw simple things, but sometimes we neglect kay ang ato lang ginahuna ang good in the very beginning is dila ato maginansya dako lagi ginansya din na ako kay daga naga pwesto or naganegosyo diha. After all, you will just realize that you are swimming in the market that there's a lot of people already. Okay? Yan. So, in summary, we have reviewed the 3 basic situations in which we have identified the type of investors. And our intention in this discussion is not to really dip down on our discussions because this is actually a lot of psychological thoughts, no? Na ang behavior magod more of psychological talaga yan siya, or certain actions or impulses, no, more of psychological. So we were just actually bridging out here the situations or the most basic things that we could relate down the importance of behavioral finance, okay, and how this behavior relates to our decision making, particularly in finances. And we also tackled last time or a while ago the different examples of the financial self-defeating behavior. And yesterday or last day, we discussed with the non-financial examples. Okay, so lastly, people may not be aware of their irrational behavior and they need their advisors or other close relations to help them understand that they are making mistakes. Okay, so it's should be part of all our plans, the advantages and disadvantages of that particular na decision. So hopefully that could be applicable as well sa inyo ha. That is actually a short discussion, but I presume and I believe naman that that could be a lot of value sa inyo ha if you were just actually listening right now. Kasi makatabang gina sa inyo ha